Chapter 76, Pendulum. Azer glanced at the mirror and met Topaz's intense gaze. However, he wasn't sure if she was interested in hearing the translation of a conversation about nudity. Ebba continued, "We received a lot of support for our cause, which led us to form an association. We began collecting signatures and sending them to politicians, demanding that Skane be given to the Aborigines, the part of the country that belonged to Denmark centuries ago. We thought it would be interesting to make Sweden's population more diverse." Azer responded, "That sounds like a pretty radical stance." Ebba nodded, "Yes, most national borders have been established through conflicts. Our association operates on nonviolent methods and human intelligence." She added, "However, it turned out to be overly optimistic. We invited some Aborigines to Sweden and presented the idea to them. They pointed out that it's too cold for them to be naked in the harsh Swedish winter landscape." Azer asked, "So, did you abandon the idea then?" Ebba shook her head, "No, not at all. We decided to take it to the UN. To gain international support, we purchased a piece of land near Berlin and turned it into a naturalist camp. At that time, many open-minded people were joining peace demonstrations in Berlin. Some were interested in our camp, but we insisted that they go naked to show solidarity with the Aborigines. Most of them left because they found it too extreme." She gestured towards the glove compartment and said, "There are some pamphlets there. Take one." Azer picked up a pamphlet, read the title, and inquired, "Is your association called Pendulum?" Ebba clarified, "Yes, it symbolizes balance and harmony, much like the pendulum in an old clock." She chuckled and added, "My husband joked the other day, saying, the only things that still swing in our association are your breasts and my testicles." Azer laughed and glanced at Topaz's annoyed expression in the mirror. Ebba continued enthusiastically, "You're welcome to join the association. We need young, attractive, naked men." She went on, "There are also pamphlets in English if your girlfriend is interested. She's also welcome to join." Azer handed a pamphlet to Topaz and asked, "Would you be interested in joining a nudist association?" Topaz glanced at the title and skimmed through the pamphlet. Ebba turned on the overhead lights and smiled sweetly at Topaz, who handed the pamphlet back, saying, "Unfortunately, I'll have to decline." She added, "Seems like our sex education in Australia was seriously lacking." The name, Pendulum, triggered a completely different thought for Topaz, given that she associated it with Swinger Club. She inquired of Ebba with a puzzled look, "Doesn't being a part of a nudist club go against your religious beliefs? Specifically, are you atheists, or do you adhere to a particular religion with a holy book?" Ebba, pleased to express herself fluently in English, responded with a refined accent, "No, we aren't atheists, we identify ourselves as omnitheists. And no, we don't follow a holy book. Our faith centers around the library, where one can access the sacred texts of all religions." Topaz, who had slumped in the back seat, perked up urgently, "Omnitheists? I've never come across that term, especially not in Australia." Ebba clarified in a composed manner, "There are atheists who don't believe in any god, monotheists who believe in a singular deity, and then there's us, omnitheists. We embrace all religions and their respective gods, believing it to be the optimal approach to steer clear of division, conflict, and war. We recognize the inherent goodness and constructive aspects present in all religions." Topaz leaned back dejectedly, appearing overwhelmed. This woman belonged to a group of unclothed individuals, who insisted on being called naturists rather than nudists, and not atheists but omnitheists. It was a lot to absorb. Despite the complexity, she managed to stay attentive, following Ebba's explanation as she continued, several years ago, a group of nuns used to stage protests every Wednesday in front of our campsite, vehemently opposing our association. They were persistent. One day, Olaf approached them, entirely unclothed, and delivered a persuasive lecture. He argued that clothes are said to make the man, which is one of the reasons why we discard them. True judgment should be based on who we are, not what we wear. He extended an invitation for nuns to join our association and experience the genuine freedom of nudity. The following week, the nuns did not appear, apart from one who opted to join our association. We never saw the others again. Olaf seemed to have effectively conveyed his message. Topaz switched to Spanish and asked Azer, "What kind of place is she taking us to?" Azer translated the question into Danish. Ebba looked at the mirror and replied in English, "It's a public bath, exclusively for women. The place is run by a respectable family from Uzbekistan. But exactly at midnight, it transforms into a swinger club." She added, "I think it's a great arrangement, promoting cultural diversity in the use of facilities." She glanced at Topaz in the mirror and said, "There's also an ethnic restaurant on site if you're hungry." Topaz pressed her hand against her growling stomach, leaned forward, checked the dashboard clock, and said in English, "It's almost midnight." With a note of resignation, she added, "As long as they let me take a bath, I don't mind what the others are up to." Ebba led Topaz and Azer to what seemed like an ordinary ethnic restaurant. She introduced them to the manager as close friends. This was necessary, or else the manager wouldn't allow Topaz to use the private corridor to the bath area. He reiterated that they were behind schedule due to cleaning and that the place was already closed. The swinger guests were waiting by the main entrance that opened onto the street behind the building.